Well, hi, friends. Well, it's another week. Today is July 28th, and let's see what Spirit would have for us this week. All right, first card out. The tree. Oh, I love the tree. The tree is your healing energy. It's also like your family roots. And then it's also possibly a little bit of your ancestors or you know, I would say in this context that I see for the the first portrait that we have a little bit of concern here, though, because it could be a challenge. It could be something that you've worked hard for, and maybe we have maybe a difficult situation that we have to go through, and I do see a little bit of boundary there. Okay, well, the tree, yeah, it's your family, but it could also be the things that you hold deep, that are like, core values, possibly, um, the things that you need for survival, which that's why I say health. And there could be some concerns there, okay? But I do see that there is, the stork is there. The stork has that, that freedom feel to it, but it also has like a new birth, like when the stork brings the baby. It has that feel to it as well. And I do see the roads there. So I feel like change is occurring. Okay, so we do see some positive growth, and we see, yeah, sometimes change doesn't feel good, but in the health department, everything that, sometimes, are when the symptoms present themselves, it can be too late. I know that that's what happened to my Mike. When the symptoms started to come out, that's when the problem had exacerbated. So you want to get to the issues before they become bigger problems. And then I see the fish there, so that's abundance. So, I feel like healing is definitely, on the positive side. It's not, anything that you have to be concerned with. Just watch your health, okay? And it could be like your weight, it could be your exercise routine, because the whip is there in the upper left-hand corner, and that's why I say there's a challenge here. Um, it could be a competition type of a feel to it as well. But, primarily I do think that it's healthy if it is like a healthy kind of a competition. But the moon is in the center, so that's your softer energies. That would be, emotion. It could be the moon too, nighttime type of energy. Okay, so maybe, maybe institute some sort of a routine before turn in for the night. Okay, so that could be, even your own personal care, before you go to bed. But things that promote good health. Okay, getting to bed on time. Here lately, I've noticed that I've been going to bed at 9:26, which is my birthday, and then I've been waking up at 6:37, which is the time I was born. So I don't know if that's just in my head, but I'm telling you, here lately. I feel like that's my natural rhythm. So I've been adhering to that. Okay, listen to your body, basically. Okay, so the next card out is the flowers. The flowers is your recovery. It's your invitations. It could be gifts. It could be appreciation. But the message, the letters in the middle. So that would be the message. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining me every week. It hasn't been easy for me lately, and I just been kind of taking one day at a time, and every day I try to do something that fills my heart with joy, and that seems to help me get through. So, I know that a lot of times, I feel like sometimes, you know, things that don't feel so good can kind of be those driving forces. That could be, a little bit of blessing in disguise feel. The reason why I'm saying that is because the fox is in the upper left-hand corner in this on this portrait, and then the dog is on the far right on this, and those are your partnerships. Go places with the people that you bond with, the people that are supportive of you, the people that are in your corner. Okay, and don't give the the negativity any energy. Okay, everything is energy, right? Your time is energy, money is energy, um you know everything is energy. I'm just saying, be careful of where you want to spend your energy. Okay, now I see the birds are in the upper left, and then the riders in the upper right. That would be talks that are coming in, okay? And then we've got the ring and we've got the cross. That can be a karmic relationship. So, people are coming into your life. If you look back in your however many years you've been here on Earth, each phase of your life, you can kind of denote certain people that were involved in your life or that played an important role in your life. Like I can go back to when I started doing mortgages, and, the right people showed up right when we needed them. And I was taught how to, process mortgages. And Grandpa Harris, he was a very influential mentor in my life. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to learn what I learned, what I needed to learn in order to, have a successful career in the mortgage business. And I've always looked back on that with such fond memories. In our family, those are some people too that are important roles and role models in our lives. So yeah, take the good, leave the rest, but overall, let's be grateful for the things that were good. Okay, that's what everything is. It offers a contrast, right? Let's see. The next card out is the stars. I love to see the stars. That's kind of your wish fulfillment. And then we see the heart in the center. But we also see the mountain, and we also see the clouds in this portrait with the sun in the upper left. The sun will brighten all of the negative aspects of a card, which the clouds, it's not necessarily a negative cloud or card, but it can bring out uncertainties and maybe a little bit of like cloudiness, like a little bit of rain on a sunny day, but the sun always comes out, right? But the mountain is there. The mountain is can be your delays and your challenges and a little bit of stagnant, stuck energy. But overall, I think that you're going to find your way through, and it's not the things that you worried about. Half the things that you worry about never happen. It's going to have that feel to it, okay? And the things that may be a little stagnant, stuck, or delay or challenge, those are there for a reason. Those are the things that are going to keep you on your track, when you need to be there. Okay. Have you ever left the house, running late, and then you see an accident up ahead? It's that sort of a feel to it. So embrace those delays and challenges because they're equally important. Okay. Yeah. If we're impatient, those delays and challenges might not feel very good. If you're in a hurry, and inevitably you'll get behind somebody that's driving 40 miles an hour in a 55. But if you act like that bothers you, it's going to pose more of a problem than what it would if you just kind of go with the flow. Okay. All right. I'm just laying the cards out here. Let's see. All right. Oh, I love our center card. It is the bear. The bear is that mother nurturer energy, but it can also be a boss, a manager, because it's kind of an official card as well. Okay. And then I see the clover above it. So that's wish fulfillment, even though it can be a little bit of a short-lived kind of a feel. But, life, I look for clovers all the time, and even if it's a short-lived blessing, there's another one. There's another one I go out and pick. So, I do see that there is a little bit of an uprooting feel. And it can be emotional, but in that portrait is the sun. The sun and the moon together is loving relationships coming out of friendships. So focus on those, because that's what the moon is. The moon is, offers clarity, although the moon requires the sun in order to shine. So, I think that just kind of speaks to, count your blessings, keep your focus on the things that are positive, okay? And things will tend to reveal themselves, and things will work out, things will unfold as they're supposed to, okay? Now, the final portrait here, I do see a new chapter, and that new chapter is it's going to take some time. It has not fully baked in the oven feel to it because the coffin is there. So, that can also be that rest feel. It could be, a period of being away, but it could also be transformational. And I can't help but think that that's what I'm experiencing personally, because the child is there as well. Now, the coffin also has, that depression kind of a feel to it. But like I said in other past readings, what depression is, it's your body saying that you need deep rest. And when you go into a deep rest, it's like pushing the reset button. Yeah, you might wake up in the morning and you might still feel, fuzzy, but if you just keep working at it, eat right, self-care, have good conversations with people that are supportive. I feel like, people just need to reach out. They can't just suffer in silence, okay? Because that's my coffin is also the suffer, or, that silence card as well. Let's see, what else do I see? I see a little bit of a false start. Not a false start. That would probably be the wrong term with the crossroads there. What it is we're having a difficult we're having a hard time taking a first step because we're afraid we're going to make the wrong decision. Now, by not making a decision, there's a lot of squirrels in the middle of the street, right? You still have to make a decision. And I don't believe any decision is necessarily wrong, but at least if you take one step, then you can course correct later if that didn't work, okay? So, the important thing here is just to start. Don't let that analysis paralysis kick in, okay? Let's see, what else do I see? Oh, I do see love on the forecast again. It's still baking in the oven, apparently. But yeah, the clover and the heart is there. The fish are there, which is abundance. It's also attraction. But there is a little bit of nervous energy there attached to it. So I don't know if that's maybe a financial loss or maybe a little bit of something is going out. But just know, like, money is energy. You have to spend it for it to come back. I mean, it's ever flowing. If you hoard it, it doesn't have a chance for movement, right? Yeah, you have it, but you're also not spending it. So everything in moderation, obviously, but I recommend that you treat all of the things that are in your toolbox like they're tools. Sharpen them when you need to, but you need to use them in order to make your life, your job, your everything more efficient. And you don't need two of everything. You really only need one good tool, in each category. So yeah, I mean, if you're into collections, go ahead, but all they do is really take up space, right? So maybe take this opportunity to start, removing some of the extras that you have, and maybe find homes for them that, other people can put them to to good use, okay? Like pots and pans, for example, you only need one of each pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have two on some things, but, you don't need an overabundance, Same with your silverware drawer. Clean that out. Your junk drawer. Clean that out. Do some cleaning out. And I feel like that's going to do for your mind the same feeling. When you clean your clean your bedroom, or clean your drawers, make your bed. I have always said that creates a clear head. Okay. So I think all of those things will help. But yeah, I mean, I say still get your rest. and try not to worry, because, I've said in the past, what's meant for you will not pass you by. I do see that there might be a little bit of change of power. So I don't know what that means necessarily, but it has to do with finance. And I feel like there needs to be maybe some budget cuts, or restructuring of the finances in general. So that can cause a little bit of a trouble. Not trouble, but maybe a little bit of discomfort there. Okay, so maybe make some long-term financial goals and then stick to those. Okay, and maybe even contact people who could help you with that, because when the bear is in the center, that is your managerial official, somebody of significance or higher up, type of significator. Okay, but I do see the sun is there, the heart is there in key positions. So I feel like the things that you bring, that bring you passion, don't compromise on those things, but maybe be a little more resourceful, I guess, is probably what I probably should be mentioning here, because when I see the snake, that's that re card. Okay, reassess, regroup, restructure, refinance, anything that begins with re, that's going to be helpful in the finance department. Okay, even repurpose. I mean, you could probably even find some really cool things, and repurpose them, and maybe turn that into some extra cash, a little side hustle. Okay, let's see, what else do I see? I in my cards, because when I created them, I didn't even realize it until after I was done, that there are quite a few cards that kind of resemble one another or mirror one another. And one of them, I feel like the cross and the anchor, and then the key, they kind of have that same sort of look about them. And then my mountain and my clouds kind of have a similar look about them. So those kind of have a little bit more to me. It adds a little bit more significance to them. But I do feel the ships are coming in, because the anchor is there with the ship and the key. Those are, that's a success. That's a combination for success. Okay. But you have to, take action, because that was in the beginning. Don't let analysis paralysis, prevent you from making decisions. And then you need to maybe, take time out to plan. Okay. Because the goal would be, if you set out to go somewhere, yeah, it's kind of nice to fly by the seat of your pants. But if you have a goal in mind, then you can see the progress along the route. Okay. Let's see, what else do I see? The career, the career card, or the lily. The lily has that. It also kind of has that feeling of all of the wonderful qualities of a wise person, or because there is no gender necessarily here, but it kind of gives off that empress type of vibe with um, somebody that has charisma and charm and elegance and kindness, and temperance, and people who are generous, and just that feeling of a classy lady kind of a feel is what it has to me. Okay, so those are the maybe even more or less like a Christ consciousness type of feel, like what would Jesus do feeling about it. Whatever your religious orientation is doesn't matter here, but I'm just saying, all of those virtuous types of qualities. If you were to surround yourself with those types of people, you'll watch your life transform. Okay, but if you are hanging out and spending your time with the energies that maybe aren't so healthy and not so good, and that's when you're going to experience those type of outcomes. Okay, so just try to keep all of the people, the things that you listen to, the things that you watch, if you can keep them in a higher vibration, I feel like you're gonna not feel as depressed, okay? Because that's what kind of depression is it's a lower vibration. So we have to raise our vibration, that energy I was speaking of earlier. Everything is energy, so if we can get our thoughts and our mindset in that forward, upward momentum, it'll be better, okay? I know one of the things that I did last year that I had a lot of success with was ice baths. And, like your dopamine will come down after you've gotten out of the bath. The dopamine comes down very, very slowly, in slower increments, rather than, turning on your phone and getting an instant dopamine hit, So there's natural things that you can do to elevate your mood, okay? I would like for you to try to maybe research some of that, okay? Because it concerns me seeing the coffin and the cross in the same line up here, and it's with the lilies. So that would be like, in your retirement years, older, the things that you do now become habits for your, how you're going to, your final outcome in the end of your life, So if you smoke, all your life, and then your final days, you're going to probably experience emphysema. Just try to handle things now so that they don't become problems later, okay? And that's another reason why I'm mentioning that, is because the bear and the mice is, handle the small problems before they become the big problems, okay? Let's see, what else? Yeah, it basically says about health talks and throughout this entire reading, so I hope that you've gained a little bit of insight there, and maybe little nugget of information that might help you. Okay, all right, folks. Well, I'll see you next week. You have a blessed day, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.